morning, everyone. Okay, so I'm tasked this morning to give you some updates on apps and websites that we can use in our medical practice. Okay, so first of all, I was worried to give something that's new for everyone or something that we'll be assuming that everybody knows about. So it's a balance between something new and something that has been used by most of us pulmonologists. The QR code, by the way, that's being shown in front, leads you to a Microsoft Sway that will be a compilation of all the apps and websites that will be discussed, as well as the link to the presentation of Dr. Gwen Agra. Okay, so I have no conflict of interest. I'm not receiving any payment for endorsement of any of the apps that will be mentioned. Okay, so we have general categories for the different apps and websites. Okay, so I group them into 4. You have your clinical references. So we have your paid ones, like your up-to-date, Google Scholar, which will be good for research, and also other resources. For communication and collaboration, you have Telegram and Discord, which is relatively new as compared to Viber. Then for patient education, you have different websites that we can recommend for patients. And lastly, some apps and websites for telehealth and patient care. Okay, so first, Google Scholar. Okay, Dr. Gwen showed you earlier Google and how you can maximize the use of it. With Google Scholar, okay, you can actually just just go to Google, type in scholar.google.com, and you'll get to find research papers. And one good thing about the research papers is that you can opt to find those ones that are free, and you have PDF-ready ones. And I have here a link to a site that can give you unpaywall.org. Okay, so unpaywall.org allows you to add a plug-in to your browser. So like, for example, if you're using Chrome, it will show you whether it has a free version. Okay, so if you end up with a journal, you search in Google, or you get a link for a journal that's paywalled, meaning you have to pay for it to access, unpaywall will show you a green icon that will lead you towards a free version, whether it's the original manuscript, whether it's a manuscript uploaded by the author for sharing from another website. You have unpaywall. So it's very useful in terms of looking for information that you can make use in your clinical practice. Okay, so last night, who here had a brief heart attack when you got logged out of Facebook and Messenger? Diba? For a few hours, okay, yung mga gising kagabi, diba? Ang sarap ng tulog ng mga hindi inabot kagabi. Pero those who are awake, 11 p.m. yesterday, everybody got a heart attack because everybody thought that they were hacked. Okay, you were logged out of your Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. And it shows us how dependent are we in terms of communication with these social media platforms. Okay, so I access Down Detector. So with any site that you're looking at, just to make sure that you're not the one hacked, it's the problem of the website, go to Down Detector. Downdetector.com. Okay, so just look for the site that you're accessing just to know if you're the ones having the problem or it's actually the site. It will tell you, it will show you what's the reported problem. Is it the login? Is it the actual site that has the problem? And this is where I went to yesterday just to make sure that I'm not hacked. Okay, so medyo nagpanic na, nilamig na ako kahapon, baka lahat ng pictures, and it was a realization, okay, so that there can be problems in terms of communication. I don't have the numbers of anyone on my phone. I'm very dependent on Messenger and Viber. And we have to realize that the apps that we're using, like for example, Viber, it has been recognized that Viber has been used by cyber criminals to access our data. And it's easy to send malicious files over Viber. And recently, you might find that some of your files, ako kasi I send files on my Viber account, doon ko access later on, then it's no longer accessible. And Viber might convert to a paid service eventually, but then we are seeing ads. And the problem is if you're dependent on just one app, we have seen last night, Di ba? Yun nga yung naging problem. Wala, hindi ko makontak yung family ko, hindi ko alam kung saan. I don't have a group chat with everybody else in Viber. Lahat sila nasa Messenger. So it was a panic attack last night dahil nawala because of the absence of Facebook and Viber. So we have other options. Okay, so it's good that we have available resources. So Telegram is free. Okay, so it's cloud-based. Okay, so it can be used in the desktop. Okay, so you have the options. It's also secure, and you have Android and iPhone versions of this. Okay, so this is the one closest to Viber, and it has other options. Okay, so that we can make use of. And for those who are a little bit advanced, okay, so who here has children in Discord? Okay, so Discord is actually a very popular app. It's not just for communication. They're sharing files. I just found out from my nieces and nephews that Discord has replaced their social media and their communication applications. So it might be good to look into this, try to explore. I've been exploring Discord. It's confusing for me, because I think it's the next generation thing. Discord has been, again, a mix of Viber, social media. They are doing videos on this. There are bots all over. Okay, so it might be good to explore because it might be the next big thing that will be adapting. Okay, so, and next we look at patient resources. Okay, so most of the time my patients will be coming in, Doc, na Google ako. Okay, and the Google problem may be, again, everybody thinks they have cancer once they Googled everything. Okay, so I point my patients to the right resource. Okay, so lung.org has been updated, and it's very easy for patients to use. Okay, so you have here resources on diseases. Okay, so lung wellness, and also some tips. Okay, and local resource, breathefreely.ph, actually is a very good resource for inhaler techniques. Okay, so I see this very valuable for my patients. If I prescribe them any inhaler, it has an English and Tagalog version. There's videos. I give them the link. They just have to go back to it. They can follow it. Okay, so rather than me worrying that they are not using their inhalers properly, with a panic attack ulit pagbalik nila because they're using it horribly. So this resource at least somehow assures me. And it also has Tagalog instructions, and that's what I like about the website. Okay, so it has a very easy to use interface, easily searchable, and again, very usable for patients. Okay, earlier, Doc Gwen gave you the step-by-step on how to make use of Google in telemedicine. Okay, but then we have a resource, okay, so ppd.ph, okay, very useful, especially in the peak of pandemic. This is a website that is incorporated in the Filipino Doctor website. Okay, so if you have an account in the Filipino Doctor, it allows you to access ppd.ph. It's actually free. Okay, so, and what's good about this is that it's a multiple use platform. Okay, so it actually has an app in both Google and in Apple Store. Okay, so you have ability to create prescriptions. Okay, so it's a secure site. It has a mini EMR, not as extensive as the other EMRs, but then for something that's free, it's very useful. And also, the one thing I like about this is the prescription part. Okay, so it's very simple to use, just a few clicks, you get to have a prescription sent to your patients. They just have to install the app, and again, it's incorporated to the telemedicine platform. Okay, so you can have video calls, you can have messaging for patients. They just have a app that they would have to install, and they would have to declare that they are a patient. Okay, so from the doctor's side, you have here, just log in as a doctor. Okay, you put in your email address, you create an account. If you don't have an account yet, in the Filipino Doctor website. Okay, so it will lead you to a dashboard where you can set up a schedule, you can download the guide, you can have appointments. It's all in one platform. Okay, so and also, one good thing about the platform is also it also handles payments. Okay, so you just have to give your bank account, and it has a certain percentage that will be asking for to provide that payment service. Okay, and if you want something more simple, okay, nothing can come more simpler than Doxy.me. Okay, so Doxy.me, it's a you just type in doxy.me, and you ask the patient to just type in doxy.me, and they just have to log in, whether it's Google or they have an account, and it will bring it here. Okay, so you have a dashboard, and you can send the link to the patient from Messenger, Viber. You can have a video call, simple as very simple. It doesn't have an EMR. It doesn't have other options that other providers will be giving you, but then it does the work of a telemedicine provider, wherein the patients can simply just click on a link and be able to see you. Okay, so but then again, there are other options. You have here a free, paid version, or maybe an entire clinic that may be making use of Doxy.me. So it's a good alternative. Okay, so Dr. Marañon mentioned about AI. Okay, so one very good website that makes use of artificial intelligence is Killbot. Okay, so if you have research papers, if you're writing letters, essays, if you are actually writing anything on the internet, okay, so you can go to killbot.com. Okay, so it's an AI, allows you to easily rephrase, check the grammar, check for plagiarism. It's free, you just have to log in, and it gives you a lot of, again, you can try using this through different reasons. Okay, so maybe from academics or research. Okay, so you can make use of that. And you still have time. Okay, so this is the AI for Google. Okay, so before, it's named as Bard. Okay, so some of you might be using Bard before, bard.google.com. So you can actually open that now in your Chrome browser or even in Safari. Just type in gemini.google.com. It will show you the chat box. Okay, so you can enter a prompt. You can make use of Gemini immediately. Okay, so if you have heard of ChatGPT, okay, so ChatGPT has 3.5 version and also the paid version. Gemini also has a paid version, but then comparing the different language models, okay, so I feel that Gemini is the safest to use. Why? Because with ChatGPT, if you're going to use ChatGPT, if you ask ChatGPT to write you a letter, if you don't fill in the details with ChatGPT, he bluffs. Okay, so he'll create data. ChatGPT would fill in the gaps of the information that you gave. So you don't give the details, why you're writing that letter, what's the purpose of that letter. ChatGPT will make up something. So it's quite dangerous, okay? So because it's filling in details that are non-existent. It's bluffing information. But then with Gemini, what I like about this, if there's missing information, it asks you for it. So before if you're going to ask ChatGPT to write you a excuse letter for your child, if you're lacking information, it will just generate something out of the thin air. But then if you're asking Gemini to write this for you, it's asking what's the date, what's the reason. It performs the task of a useful assistant. Just imagine ChatGPT as an assistant that makes up anything. Well, Gemini is more, again, more accurate than the other language models, and it's also free. And one other thing about Gemini, it also allows you to generate images. So like, for example, if you're creating posters, educational material for your patients, if you're managing maybe a postgraduate course, creating posters, again, if you're into social media campaigns or again, patient education. Okay, so you can ask it to create an image. Okay, so I typed in create an image showing geeky lungs operating a spirometer. Okay, so it gave me samples. Okay, so you can be more detailed, you can be more again, you can specify what will be the subtype, what will be the exact details that you want to find in your image. Okay, so it will be creating that image. Okay, so as mentioned, you have your chat.openAI, which is ChatGPT. So you have your free versions. Again, with the use of your AI, it's all about the use of prompts. Okay, so make sure that you're making use of prompts properly. You give it a context, you give it the proper instructions, you give it samples, and think of it as an assistant. Okay, so rather than a replacement, think of it as something that will make your life easier as an assistant. Okay, so don't allow it to replace your thinking in terms of if you're going to generate an email, maybe a response to somebody. Because with Chat GPT, okay, so here is a algorithm that can help you decide. So if the first part, the first question, answer the question, does it matter if the output is true? So if it matters, you have to check, you have to verify the information, and you have to answer the question, are you willing to take full responsibility for inaccuracies? So if the answer is yes to all of it, maybe you can use ChatGPT. But then if in the first question, if it doesn't matter if the answer is true, maybe something creative, you're asking it to write a poem, you're asking it to write a song or something creative. Okay, so if truth doesn't matter, it's safe to use. But then if you're using it for other purposes and you're not an expert on it and you have no ability to verify the truthfulness of ChatGPT, again, it's unsafe. Because again, ChatGPT would embellish data. If you're going to if you're asking the AI to write a research, even resources, even journals, if you don't know how to verify, if you don't know how to check, it will create something out of thin air. So it's unsafe to use. Then for the last question, if you're not willing to take full responsibility for inaccuracies, definitely it will be unsafe. Okay, so just a simple algorithm to determine whether it will be useful for you. And lastly, okay, so I'll be making use of this analogy. Okay, so with any technology, with any app, with artificial intelligence, with telemedicine, with any other technology that we'll be using, I make use of the analogy of an escalator and stairs. We're all used to taking the stairs, and it's something that's available to all of us. Think of all the technology as an escalator that would help you reach a certain height that would be easier for us. But then it should not replace your ability to climb stairs. And, di ba, pag medyo tanga gumamit ng escalator, nangangain sa ng tao, di ba? Ganon din doon sa technology. If you're going to, any technology used wrongly, it can be dangerous. Okay, so it should not be a replacement. It should not, again, it should augment, it should help you in terms of your practice, and it's not a replacement for thinking. Okay, so with that, thank you very much for your attention.